Hello, I'm here at what is called Generations Park in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, central Pennsylvania, not that far from my house. And it's a park really under construction, although it's open now. I'm the only one here on a beautiful October Saturday. But I want to talk through an example of an interesting stormwater project. So this was a farm just a couple of years ago, a horse farm, and they sold to the township, and the township is developing this park. And it had a lot of issues with the neighbors opposing it, which is understandable. But I want to walk through some of the things that they've done for stormwater, and this is actually a special situation here at this part of right by the Yellow Breeches Creek, which I showed in my intro video, runs kind of by my house. So we'll walk through some of these storm technologies. Again, they're under construction. I'm looking at a map trying to figure out what's what, but we'll walk through them.
So where this park is situated, this is Generations Park. This is the entrance to it. Where I was parked, you can see in this Google Maps, there's actually some of it's shown here and not a lot of it's shown yet, but I was parked kind of somewhere in here. And it runs down to the end, but there's a road called McCormick Road. There's no access to the park from McCormick Road. There's emergency access. And you can see that the Yellow Breeches Creek is right across McCormick Road from there. It's actually a little space here. And in one of these videos, I'll show you this new house being built here, and then this farmhouse that was moved from up here down to there. So it was formerly a horse farm, and you can see the land is cleared, which it was already. And then McCormick Road runs down here, and you can see when we get down here, the road is very close to the creek. So here's an overview plan of the site. So I drove in on this road here, and then I parked right there, which you can see is the pickleball courts in the parking lot. And the next video I'll show you this stormwater BMP right there. There's another one over here that I'll walk to, and over there. This is after design. It's modified a little bit from the original master plan, but because you have to do it to begin with, but there's a lot of pressure over the stormwater of the site. So their master plan did include a lot of analysis of hydrology and steep slopes with the goal of not having much runoff. So let me jump back and show you a video of me looking at the first one of those.
This is where the first stormwater BMP will look at. Hopefully future me will have pointed out where this is on the plan. This is the drainage from the parking lot. I don't know if this will be paved in the future or not, but it runs down through here, and so this is listed on the plan as a stormwater BMP. I don't know any details beyond that, but you can see that they've done the landscaping on it, and they've laid it out, and then it runs down and empties out there, and then across from there is a wetland.
As I said when filming, I don't know much about what's underneath those, but these are not just ditches, they're engineered structures. So this is from the same township. Some of the other technologies they've chosen, at this one was a bioswale, and they say prevent approximately 52,000 pounds per year of sediment from entering local waterways. So you can see that when you see the actual design drawings, there's pipes, there's stuff underneath these structures. And you can see the pipes, the collection pipes to collect it out. So they all have to account for overflow in addition to the water. We'll do an example class, the Iowa exercise. So to take care of water quality, so you have water quantity and water quality that you're taking care of with these. So once again, these are engineered structures, not just ditches. And I'll show you a couple more and then come back to talk to you.
I said wetland, but actually this area right here is listed on the plan as another stormwater BMP. And then across on those trees is I think where the wetland is, and then there's another part of the park behind that.
Divided their park design into passive, active, and active zones and the transition zones in between. And I'll scroll down here to show you a couple things in here. So they have some passive activities, biking, photography, bird watching, that kind of thing. And then they actually have some active fields and things like that. Can have a skate park, fitness area, rock climbing. And so they go through that and lay out the zones, and then they have some different parts of it. Restrooms and parking, of course. I'm curious to see whether the parking is all paved or not. An amphitheater, butterfly meadow, and bird watching meadow. So there'll have to be butterfly and bird police there to make sure that the birds don't go in the butterfly meadow and vice versa. And on the wetland area, they're actually going to have a wetland walk. So they'll have an elevated walkway there that you can walk around and look at the wetlands. And there's stuff in there about signage for stormwater protection education as well. So I just showed you, I was looking over here, and then I'm about to walk over to this side here. You can see there's going to actually be through that treat area I showed. There's going to be a boardwalk through there. And then there's another section of park over here. So I'll walk over there real quick.
So in these trees, I think it's where they'll have it as a wetland. Looks like they've done most of the grading, or maybe all of the basic grading of the site. So I suspect they're just going to leave that as it is. You can see this is the area I just came from here that's designated as a. It looks like there'll be a trail that runs down here, and then a boardwalk that cuts through somewhere in here, through the trees, I guess, over the wetland, and over to another section of the park on the other side of the trees there. So there's a neighborhood right there, and you can see from there and from this little swale behind me, it drains under the road and discharges into the wetland there and down the wetland. And then you can see also from the road up above here, and then this right here, you can see it's raised above. This is the stormwater BMP right here, and I don't know, it's obviously it's been a constructed stormwater BMP. I don't know what the details are of there. And then this here will be a road that crosses over, and I don't know their long-term plan. There's just a little bit paved right now. How much will be paved and how much will be gravel, so they will be permeable, not impermeable surface. But it goes on in there, and then that's where they have a horseshoe pits and bocce ball and more pickleball courts. So I'm recording this in fall of 2025. Hopefully pickleball will stay popular as it is now.
So what I just filmed here as I walked around this road here and then showed you out here, that's where the other pickleball courts and stuff will be. I'm going to just let some videos roll here in just a little bit as I walk down here. There's a stormwater BMP down here, and I'll walk along here. I was kind of surprised. I think I say it was the size of some of these, and I realized they're right below some of these paved areas here. I think I show you looking off into the woods, some of these drains to the woods here, which I hope are done well, because they're pretty steep and a lot of riprap in there. Hopefully they'll hold up. And then finally I'll end up down here, and I'll show you that house that was moved. But before I do all that, I want to kind of give you the punchline of some of this. So here is the Township of Upper Ellen code. It's pretty much, most places in Pennsylvania have pretty much the same. It's based on the Pennsylvania BMP manual. Uses the design storm method. That is the NRCS method, is what it really is. For smaller sites, you can use the simplified method. I have you do a little assignment on that where you walk through that, and you have volume controls and rate controls. So rate controls is the thing I keep emphasizing, was been for a long time in the past 10, 20 years. You have to do volume controls, and that's why you need these BMPs for infiltration. And it doesn't say anything specifically about water quality. You maybe for your site have to do some water quality BMPs, but those swales and stuff will do water quality improvement. Now, the interesting thing about this area is that you see this district 100%, 75%. For the 75% areas, post-development peak discharge for all design storms must be no greater than 75% of the pre-development peak discharge. You don't just have to match it, you have to have it less than. And if we look up here for, where is it here? Right here. Look up here, we can see, I'll show you here where our park is. It is actually in this green here, which is 75% watershed release rate map. So release rate is 75%. So the park actually, for any development, they have to have their post-development discharge 75% of the pre-development discharge. Now for the project, I have you, well, I think I have you look at wherever you're doing, but in general, you have to meet the pre-development discharge. But there's some cases where you actually have to have it less than the pre-development discharge. So I'll let some videos roll now.
Quite a bit of the upper part of the park, and I think some of the neighborhood nearby drains down here where I'm standing right now. You can see that it drains down here, and then there's the outlet structure down there. That looks, the overflow structure looks to be about the same elevation, top elevation, as the berm behind it. It looks kind of like a regular retention pond, but you can see down here that it's got something else going on underneath it. So this is listed on the plan as a stormwater BMP. Quite pretty here. I'm standing behind that outlet structure. Again, this berm goes down a little bit there, about the same elevation as that. Here's the outlet from that outlet structure. They got some riprap down there. I don't know if they're correcting erosion that happened. That is, we've been talking about this. We have the stormwater plans for your municipality. Designing this would likely be in the erosion and sedimentation document for your state or the place where you're working. This is another stormwater BMP here. It looks like from the plan there's going to be a parking lot right above this. So this takes it out and then discharges it to the wetland over here. This is the stormwater BMP that takes the runoff from the skate park and a couple other things. And again, the outlet structure takes it across the road, and then it discharges down there into the woods. Here's another stormwater BMP. I don't know if I have to show you them all, but you can see here. At first, it doesn't look like to me there's a huge area draining to it, but there's going to be a pavilion right above here. So that's why that's here. And you can see some of the buildings of the old farm there. The house they've actually moved. I'll show you that a little bit. Here's the one I just showed you. By the way, we're heading now down a little steeper down a hill. And I guess everything in here in this watershed goes to the creek. But now that we're heading down the hill, it's going to go a little more directly into the creek. On this side of the path, and then on this side of the path, are those long, skinny blue shapes on the map that are not written as stormwater BMPs. I don't know if that means anything. I doubt it. They probably just didn't label it.
I was referring to these long, skinny ones that just don't have the label on there. They look to be about the same technology as the other BMPs.
The discharge to these head down pretty steeply a lot of times into the woods there. I'll be curious to see once the park is going if that's significant. Hopefully the BMPs will hold, infiltrate, delay, retain a lot of the water. But if they don't, I could see these getting pretty rough. And now we're down to McCormick Road. This is the end of the park. And there won't be any official entrance here, but there's emergency entrances here. I think that lot over there is for sale. There's houses along it. Maybe I'll take a drive down it and show you what it looks like. All right, so there was a house there when they built the park. Some people insisted that was an historic house, so they need to preserve it. So actually one of the neighbors bought it and moved it across the road, and there it is there, the brick house behind there. Kind of a bummer, in my opinion, for these people here who had just built this house, the White House, a couple years ago. You can see it has a gravel driveway. I'm sure that's because of stormwater concerns, but they have a pool behind there, and they were all alone there. Woods on either side. They're on the creek behind them, and then they moved that house over there. And then so for the past year, definitely this summer, they had construction workers up there every day, 40 feet above, looking directly down onto their pool. It's kind of a bummer for them, I suspect. I think the area in here is where they're going to have an amphitheater. They obviously have not done grading on that yet, although the terrain kind of looks fit for that. And I'm not going to walk over there right now. There's no trail over there, but I also suspect, just from looking, that they have not done the stormwater BMPs and stuff on that side yet.
As a walk through the park, I want to close with talking about the neighbors. So they were concerned about this park, as they have every right to be. Their core message was save it before they pave it. So the runoff was one of their major concerns. And they actually got people elected to the township council and stuff. And they had their own plan that was much less development than the park that actually is planned now and is under construction now. So they've been pushing back, and that's actually an important role they play in keeping the township's feet to the fire. And really, I mean, it's their neighborhood. They have a right to have their voice in what the township does. And let me mention a couple things here. So the neighbors are watching it during construction. They see this. And so the stormwater plan for construction is a big, big deal. We don't really cover that in my class, but that's a big deal. It needs to be done right. So when they see that, they're rightfully concerned about that. And hopefully the contractors did a good job, and the township did a good job of making sure they did it right. So they have a right to be concerned, and every development, you're changing something, right? Development is change, and it can be for good, or it can be not so good, especially if you're a neighbor. So not in my backyard. I don't want stuff in my backyard. So it's defensible. But this is a good example where stormwater was actually one of the major concerns, and it was up to the township and the different people involved to ensure the neighbors that it's going to be done right, that'll protect their creek, protect their neighborhood. I think I will close with a drive down McCormick Park. You can keep watching or not. It's up to you.